Hi everybody, welcome to another video from Brilliant Life Chiropractic. I'm Dr. Paul, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about X-ray and why we don't use X-ray in the office, because it's a very common thing for chiropractors to use X-ray in the office, and it makes sense if you look at chiropractic as being bone related, like if we're looking at like fixing your bones or having your bones be in line, as if that's the most important thing. And no, nothing against chiropractors who choose to do that. Some use very, very precise determinations to see just how they want to provide correction to the body. At Brilliant Life Chiropractic, the goal of our care is always the same. We want to enhance your body's ability to perform all of its functions, and that includes healing. And the way that we do that, the purpose of the adjustment, is to restore or to reconnect your body to its own innate intelligence. We propose that there is an innate intelligence running the show inside the body that is always working to make you healthy. And so we want to remove any interference to that system through the nerve system so that your body can function the best it possibly can. And like I said, many chiropractors use X-ray as a way of looking at the spine and seeing, because that is where a lot of the nerve system is through the spine. That's where most of it is. And so we want to see if the spine has had major insults to it sometimes, or if there's a deterioration or degeneration or things like that. But for me, that is not the most important part of the spine. The most important part of the spine is the nerve system. Is the nerve system subluxated? Is there interference to the nerve system? A bone could look like it's out of place. You could have a big deformation there, and it could be providing no interference to the nerve system whatsoever. And it could look like it's in place, and yet because of inflammation, because of altered biomechanics and movement patterns, it might actually be interfering with the nerve system. So there's more to it than just looking at the bony structures through X-ray. In my time as an intern at chiropractic school, I looked at a lot of X-rays. Well, not a lot of X-rays, but as many as I had to. And I found that there was rarely a correlation between how a patient felt and what their X-ray looked like. I found more often than not that someone could have an X-ray that looked really good. The spine was very much in line, and no deterioration, no degeneration, and yet they'd be in horrible pain. And then getting adjusted would help them. And other people would come in, and their spines looked like a wreck, like degeneration everywhere, and yet they were doing pretty well. So there wasn't really a great correlation there. We've opted not to use it. We don't have X-ray in the office, and if someone does need it, we refer out for it. There is another way of assessing the body. There's lots of ways of assessing the body. And we use a way in our initial exams and our re-exams that uses technology to determine how and where the nerve system is being impacted by subluxation that's present in the body. Like I said, X-ray can show us where the bones are, but I'm more interested in your nerve system. So we use a system of 3 different scans to do that. The first one is a thermal scan. Now, by measuring subtle changes in the temperature along the spine from side to side, we can see where there is interference to the autonomic portion of the nerve system, because that's what controls that. There are blood vessels that run along the spine, and when they are dilated differently, there's a difference in temperature from side to side. And when that happens, we know that the nerve system is being impacted in those areas. Otherwise, they would be about the same. So that shows us where subluxation might be present, where there is stress on the system. But that's not the only thing that we do. That is one of the tests that we do. What we do right after that is a surface EMG. Now, to maintain the body against gravity when you're sitting or standing or whatever, the muscles along the spine have to be coordinated very well to allow that to happen with ease, with flexibility, and also with strength. So they have to have a particular coherent tone throughout. And we can use surface EMG to measure the tone of those muscles. When subluxation is present, the body responds by producing tension to try to correct this misalignment and bring it back into alignment, and even to prevent further deterioration of where things have gone. That's often what people feel. They feel the tension. They feel the it can sometimes be painful, sometimes not. Unfortunately, a lot of times this corrective tension is something that is just tried to be eliminated through muscle relaxants, and so I'm not a fan of those, as I've said before. Getting adjusted assists that correction. The body is a great map of telling us exactly where that wants to happen, and so when we listen to the body and we do that, then we can actually assist in that correction, and that's great. Lastly, we use heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is a measure of the overall stress on the nerve system, and also how well it's adapting to that stress. The heart should have a certain amount of variability in its rhythms, in its beats. You don't want it to be the same in between each and every beat. And since the heart receives its messages from the body through the nerve system, then it makes sense that if the heart rate variability is impacted, then there could be something going on with the nerve system. And when there is something going on with the nerve system, that will impact heart rate variability. So as the body gets more adjusted, gets more well adjusted, then heart rate variability improves. We also measure the balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic nerve system status so that we can determine if your nerve system is in a great place to be, or if you're more under stress, or if you're more in a healing mode. So all of that's really, really interesting. Now these three tests, when we combine them with muscle palpation, motion palpation, static palpation, and a really detailed history, will tell us how messed up you are, in a way of saying. But it tells us how much stress is on your system overall, in your nerve system, and how much we think it might take for you to get better. It can really provide us with an accurate way of determining how much care you might need. Now, if in the course of our examination we find something like that has a suspect that you have a broken bone, or maybe you're not getting better from care, then there might be something else going on. And that's a good indication that you should go get an x-ray, go see if there's something more going on there. But for the most part, 99% of our patients, we find that they're not necessary. People get better, and we'd rather avoid unnecessary radiation if at all possible. So that's why we don't x-ray here at Brilliant Life Chiropractic, and why we use a different set of scans to make sure that our people are getting better from the inside out, because that's how chiropractic works. Remember, you deserve a brilliant life. Let it shine.